What do a glassblower from Seattle, a furniture maker from North Carolina, and a Navajo weaver from the American Southwest all have in common? They're part of a tradition as old as America itself, the tradition of making things by hand, with purpose, with mastery, and with soul. Today, we're celebrating some of the most iconic artisans in American history, people who turned raw materials into art, craft into legacy, and their hands into instruments of genius. Let's get into it. We start in the world of glass, and nobody in America has pushed that medium further than Dale Chihuly. Born in Tacoma, Washington, in 1941, Chihuly fell in love with glassblowing after studying it in Venice, Italy, then came home and helped found the Pilchuck Glass School in Washington State in 1971, which became one of the most influential art schools in the world. But what makes Chihuly truly legendary is his scale. He didn't just make vases or bowls. He made ceilings. He made gardens. He installed a chandelier made of over 2,000 hand-blown glass pieces in the lobby of the Bellagio Hotel in Las Vegas. His work hangs in the Victoria and Albert Museum in London. His glass flowers bloom permanently in the ceiling of the Harvard Museum of Natural History. After losing sight in his left eye in a car accident in 1976, and later dislocating his shoulder in a body surfing accident, Chihuly could no longer blow glass himself, so he became a director, leading a team of glassblowers to realize his visions at a massive scale. He proved that American craft could be monumental, that it could fill a room, fill a museum, fill your whole field of vision. If Dale Chihuly mastered glass, George Nakashima mastered wood, and in doing so, changed how the world thought about furniture. Born in 1905 to Japanese immigrant parents, Nakashima trained as an architect at MIT and then spent years traveling the world, including studying traditional Japanese woodworking in the 1930s. Then came one of history's stranger ironies. During World War II, Nakashima and his family were sent to an internment camp in Idaho, and it was there, in confinement, that he met a Japanese master carpenter named Gentaro Hikogawa, who taught him traditional joinery techniques. After the war, Nakashima settled in New Hope, Pennsylvania, and began building furniture from a philosophy unlike anything in mainstream American design. His signature style? The live-edge slab, using the natural, uncut edge of a tree's trunk as the surface of a table. He believed that each piece of wood had a soul, and his job was to free it. His work is in the permanent collections of the Museum of Modern Art in New York and the Smithsonian, and his studio, still run by his daughter Mira, continues to this day. Not all artisans have a single famous name attached to them, and that's especially true of Navajo weaving, one of the most extraordinary craft traditions on American soil. Navajo women began weaving in the 1600s, after learning from Pueblo people, and by the 1800s, their blankets were so finely made and so sought after that they were traded across the continent and worn as status symbols by Plains chiefs, Mexican officials, and American military officers. One name that stands out is Yellin, a contemporary master weaver who has spent decades preserving traditional patterns and teaching younger generations. But honestly, the tradition itself is the legend. The geometric patterns, the bold reds, blacks, whites, and grays, tell stories. They encode identity. They are, in many ways, the most authentically American art form that exists. Today, authentic Navajo rugs can sell for tens of thousands of dollars, and every one is still made by hand, on a vertical loom, one thread at a time. Here's a name most people have never heard, but whose work they've almost certainly walked past. Samuel Yellin was a blacksmith. Specifically, he was arguably the greatest ornamental ironworker in American history. Born in Poland in 1885, Yellin immigrated to Philadelphia and set up his metalworking shop in 1909. Over the next few decades, he produced ironwork for some of the most prestigious buildings in the country: the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, Yale University, Harvard University, Washington National Cathedral, and the Detroit Institute of Arts, among many others. His ironwork didn't look machined or manufactured. It looked alive: vines curling around hinges, animals perched on locks, leaves and flowers erupting from hinges and handles. He employed over 200 smiths at the peak of his studio's output. At his death in 1940, he left behind over 400,000 pieces and a legacy that basically defines what American architectural craft looks like. We can't talk about American craft without talking about textiles, and the person who modernized American weaving more than anyone else was Dorothy Liebes. Born in California in 1897, Liebes studied at the California College of Arts and Crafts and eventually opened her own design studio in San Francisco in the 1930s. She became famous for weaving fabrics with everything: metallic threads, bamboo, leather strips, cellophane. She threw out the rulebook on what a woven textile could look like. Her color combinations were bold: turquoise with gold, hot pink with brown, and they influenced not just the handcraft world, but mainstream industrial textile manufacturing. She eventually moved to New York and consulted for companies like DuPont and Bigelow Carpet Company. Time magazine called her the First Lady of the Loom, and her work is in the permanent collections of the Smithsonian and the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston. We come back to wood because we have to, with Sam Maloof, the California woodworker who became the first craftsman ever awarded a MacArthur Fellowship Genius Grant in 1985. Maloof was self-taught. Born in 1916 in Chino, California, to Lebanese immigrant parents, he began making furniture in his garage in the 1940s because he couldn't afford to buy furniture. He never used plans. He worked by feel, by eye, and by an almost supernatural sense of proportion. His rocking chairs became the thing of legend, sinuous, organic, almost skeletal in their elegance, and so comfortable that people who sat in one refused to get up. Presidents collected them. Ronald Reagan had one. Barack Obama had one. Maloof worked in his shop until he was in his 90s. He died in 2009, at age 93, still making things by hand. From molten glass to live-edge wood, from iron gates to woven textiles, what all of these artisans share is a belief that how something is made matters. That the human hand brings something to an object that no machine can replicate. In a world of mass production and overnight shipping, that idea feels more important than ever. So the next time you see a piece of craft, really look at it. Think about the hands that made it. Think about the years of practice behind every cut, every thread, every curve, because that's what artisanship is. It's a person saying, I made this, and I made it as well as I possibly could. If you enjoyed this video, hit like and subscribe, and let us know in the comments, who's your favorite American artisan? We'd love to keep this conversation going. See you in the next one.